Hey, this is a quick video to just explain the weekly assignment for anyone who may have missed me doing this in class or who just wants a little bit more explanation. So just note, it's due Friday, next Friday. Don't feel that you have to wait that long to work on it. Please don't, but I just wanted you to know you have a little bit of time. Like it says, this is identical in structure to last week's assignment. You have two tasks. You need to do both tasks. It's not a choose one or two. You got to do both, but there is choice involved in both of those parts. So first things first, we're continuing reading The Cultist Enemy, pages 20 to 35, and then you'll write a paragraph. Same as last week. You can work on your own, or you can choose to write with a partner. Please just let me know if you're doing that. As you can see here, if I'm scrolling down, answer if you're collaborating with someone, just so I know what to expect. You'll put your paragraph here, or it says you can attach or insert a photo of your handwritten work. So if for whatever reason you're having tech troubles, or you just prefer to do writing by hand, that's totally acceptable. Just make sure you add it here somehow. We'll get to the prompts in just a moment. Those are the 3 prompts, and I'll explain them. But part 2, pretty straightforward, almost exactly the same as last week. The difference is you're reading chapter 10. Last week it was chapter 9. If you do that, you're going to fill out this little 3-2-1 graphic organizer. So it's not a bunch of questions to answer. Just share 3 things you learned. 3. 2 things you think, a connection, an idea, whatnot. And then 1 thing you wonder, Google it and find out a little bit more. Notice that you have these resources here. The read aloud part 1 and part 2, it's not just me reading aloud. I also kind of pause at various moments to explain, try to give context, things like that. So if you're really wanting to push yourself and work on improving your reading stamina meaning like, can you just like keep reading for a decent chunk of time, a really important skill, or for whatever reason, if you're just curious, do consider using those read alouds. I did those for you. Or you could take the option of using iReady Reading for at least 30 minutes. Make sure that you do hit at least 30 minutes. If you don't, you're only going to get partial credit, and I don't want that for you. So you'll put it there. Extra credit, I will explain that in just a second. So we've got 3 writing prompts. Let me show these to you. We've got this one on pages 20 to 21. The next writing prompt is about pages 22 through 27. And then the third prompt is on pages 31 through 35. So you've got those 3 different spans. I'm hoping that will help to guide your thinking and deepen your learning out of one of these sections. So for the first one, it says the authors tell the story of the particularly hateful feelings shared by many Californians, including future Supreme Court Chief Justice Earl Warren. What message does Takei communicate about the popularity of fear and hate? How might we see echoes of these events in our country today? Focus on mainly just one panel. And like it says, analyze both what you see and what you read. Of course, as always, keep using those terms, right? Because those terms help us to understand and to approach this text in a more intellectual fashion, right? Emanata, graphic weight, voiceover versus narration versus speech bubble, panels, things like that. Expression. Remember, if you're talking about expression, you have to use an adjective, fearful expression, sad expression, things like that. So simply put, explain the message that's being sent in one particular panel on those pages and connect it to the present time. Where do we see, again, certain people using fear to become more popular, or using fear to gain position and power in politics? All right, this next question is the most challenging. I still would really love to see some of you tackle it, because you get 2 texts. You would use some evidence from Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, and then you would also pull evidence from a panel from pages 22 through 27. So this is a language of that amendment, which is from this post-Civil War Reconstruction era. So this is when African Americans, former slaves, and really just male former slaves became citizens, so to speak. They were viewed as people deserving of voting rights and such. And part of it says that no state shall deprive the person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Meaning the police can't just come, knock down your door, and start taking your things without a warrant, without all those legal procedures, even though that may happen at times. So when that happens, that would be a violation of our constitutional rights. So you're basically like close reading this section of this amendment to the Constitution, and then applying that to pages 22 to 27 of They Called Us Enemy. Find an example of, in this case, Japanese Americans' constitutional rights being violated in California. And then question C. This is the last part. This is a question similar to last week, in which I want you to notice how two different people can be living the same life experience but perceive it very differently. In this case, little kids versus their parents versus adults. So this is when George Takei's family is forced to relocate to a racetrack. Right, they have to leave their home. Everything is taken from them, and the way he perceived that, being a little kid, was very different than the shame, the humiliation, the fear, and the terror that his parents, adults, were experiencing. So focus in on that, showing different perspectives. Okay, so those are your three questions for the week. Please just let me know if there's any other way that I can help, and I really look forward to reading your ideas and seeing how you analyze They Called Us Enemy.